time on Silkway TV channel. We introduce you with the most visible news and important events that happened throughout this week in Kazakhstan and Central Asia. More details on politics, economy, social and cultural life, with opinions from the most recognizable experts of Kazakhstan and world. I'm Dauren Sagulov, and this is what you'll see today. First state visit of the President of Kazakhstan to Singapore. What agreements were reached? SCO Foreign Ministers meeting held in Astana. Exclusive comment of Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Mehdi Safari for New Time. How to benefit from Turkic integration? Watch the exclusive interview with the Speaker of the Grand National Assembly of Turkey. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev paid a state visit to Singapore at the invitation of President Tharman Shanmugaratnam. During his visit, President Tokayev engaged in discussions with Singapore's top leadership, prominent international corporations, and participated in the Kazakh-Singapore Business Forum. For more details on the visit's agenda, watch the following report.
President Tokayev's two-day state visit to Singapore marks the first visit by Kazakh president to the country in the last 2 decades. Notably, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev is no stranger to Singapore, having worked here as a diplomat in the 70s. He confidently asserts that Singapore is a trusted partner of Kazakhstan. These sentiments were expressed during his meeting with Singapore's president. In turn, the president of Singapore praised the growing cooperation between Kazakhstan and Singapore, emphasizing the strengthening ties between the two nations. Despite the distance, the bond between states is further reinforced by 140 Singaporean companies that have invested nearly $2 billion in Kazakh economy.
These are companies that show great interest in Kazakhstan in today's realities. We have agreed to organize a meeting with Singaporean companies in Kazakhstan in the near future. This will take place literally in July. The direction of cooperation is very relevant. It includes IT commerce and financial banking. Today, the formation of the large technological clusters is crucial in agriculture, mining and subsoil use.
Today, the Kazakh and Singaporean heads of government are focused on increasing mutual trade turnover. Given the current figures, it's anticipated to soon surpass $2 billion. Thus, President Tokayev discussed the necessary steps for this with Singaporean Prime Minister. The Singaporean Prime Minister in turn highlighted his country's role as a gateway for Kazakhstan to expand its partnership with ASEAN countries. Conversely, Kazakhstan can facilitate Singapore's closer ties with Central Asian countries. The development of the Trans-Caspian international transport route plays a pivotal role in this regard.
We've also started a project on the China-Kazakhstan border at Altinkhor border post to improve the transit decoration. Hogos, Altinkhor, yeah, they are the same area, right? So when the trains come from China today, the trains will arrive with the paper document, and then everybody will start to do the decoration. It takes hours. So what we have done is that with the DTC test customs platform, we get the information early, what we call the preliminary information.
On the sidelines of Kazakh-Singaporean Business Forum, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev met with representatives from Singapore's business community. President of Kazakhstan extended an invitation to Temasek, one of the Singapore's largest investment firms, to collaborate on joint projects. Discussions also covered the establishment of a joint investment fund and cooperation in digitalization, e-commerce and renewable energy. Additionally, Indorama Corporation, a major petrochemical producer, expressed interest in establishing a complete cycle of phosphorus fertilizer production in the Jambul region. Amit Lohia, a senior executive of the company, informed President Tokayev about his initiative. Notably, last year, this prominent chemical conglomerate registered a subsidiary within the jurisdiction of Astana International Financial Center, aiming to advance the chemical industry in Kazakhstan through the development of new deposits.
The company's leadership informed President Tokayev that they are prepared to consider the proposal regarding the construction of phosphate fertilizers. We will delve into and evaluate this matter. I believe it holds good potential.
In addition, Savika Group has expressed interest in acquiring several airports and investing in logistic warehouses in Kazakhstan. On the sidelines of the business forum, discussions on various aspects of the flagship Alatau City project in the Almaty region took place this week. The governance office, in collaboration with the Caspian Group and Serbana Juron Company, has developed the master plan concept for the development of the G4 city.
The new city of Alatau was presented. We discussed the work that has been done. A concept was created and the city was mapped out. Just last week, the master plan was approved. This has sparked additional interest from foreign investors.
Together with the agreements reached during high-level meetings, 12 commercial documents were signed. President Tokayev outlined several other promising areas of partnership during the visits. These include exploration and production of vital raw materials and natural resources, renewable energy, transportation and logistics. Singaporean companies were also invited to establish joint agro-innovation centers in one of the most modern industries, biotechnology. Thus, Kazakhstan and Singapore will establish an investment fund to finance research and production of biological products. Balzhan Samigulina, New Time.
There is a strong political will that dominates relations between Kazakhstan and Singapore, said non-resident ambassador of Singapore to Kazakhstan, Zulkifli Baharudin. In an interview to the New Time, he described bilateral economic cooperation as growing with a big potential ahead. Mr. Ambassador also stressed out the importance of a personal attach of the President Tokayev to Singapore and friendly ties that two countries share. Please watch the fragment of the interview right now.
When we talk about cooperation, we talk basically about two main things. It's economic, business cooperation and establishing political dialogue. I think in both of these spheres the cooperation is going very well, but what kind of industries, maybe economic industries, are of the most interest for Singaporean
I think we have to be very
counterparts?
careful that countries that are far apart, for us to have that great political goodwill is very important, extremely important. And because without goodwill, political goodwill, you cannot create economic opportunities. So I think I must first say that our political goodwill is very, very strong. Economic opportunities depends on, companies, whatever they want to do, and we just have to keep doing it. I think your country is just emerging. People need to know a bit more. We need to develop a few things like connectivity. People need to get familiar with the region. The people in the region need to get familiar, not just with Singapore, with the region in Singapore. We're two very diverse. But I think generally because of the great political goodwill and some strategic businesses that have already been there, I think people are getting comfortable. People are getting familiar. In our case, we are very, very privileged and unique in the sense that your leaders, President Tokayev, I mean, he's so familiar with the country.
Yes, his diplomatic career started here.
He was, as a young man, he lived here, not far from here. He lived here. Some of his friends are still here who are waiting to see him, and he still remembers them as his friends. So he's got a very warm understanding, and he knows the place. He spent years here, and these are his formative years will shape him. So. And his relationship with subsequent leaders of Singapore, their past and present, whom he will see, remains very strong. So that demonstrates, very unique, that demonstrates how President Tokayev treasures friendship. Not because, even though they have left their job, but he treasures that. He wants to see them personally over meals. So that shows his character, that he values friendship a lot.
The Shanghai Cooperation Organization must continue its efforts against the three forces of evil: terrorism, separatism and extremism, emphasized Kassym-Jomart Tokayev during a meeting with the foreign ministers of SCO member states. The meeting also covered topics of cybersecurity and addressing climate challenges. More details about this week's SCO meeting in Astana in the New Time report.
This year, Kazakhstan is chairing 6 international organizations, including the SCO. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization comprises 10 countries from the Eurasian continent, representing half of the world's populations. These countries account for a quarter of the global GDP and 15% of world trade. In his opening remarks at the ministerial meeting, President Tokayev stressed that the Council of Ministers of Foreign Affairs is a crucial format within the SCO for addressing the key issues.
Отдельного внимания требуют дальнейшие шаги в реформировании ШОС.
Further steps in reforming the SCO require special attention. The active participation of member states in developing specific solutions to improve our organization is commendable. Kazakhstan has put forward balanced proposals to transform the SCO into an effective multilateral cooperation mechanism. We hope for continued support for these initiatives.
Kassym-Jomart Tokayev also emphasized that combating the 3 forces of evil, terrorism, separatism and extremism should remain a central focus of the organization's cooperation. Additionally, he highlighted the importance of addressing cyber threats and pressing issue of climate change in today's world.
Отдельное внимание мы должны уделять вопросу изменения климата.
Without urgent preventive measures, this problem could plunge our planet into a dramatic period of global natural disasters. Extreme weather conditions are becoming one of the major global challenges. In this context, it is necessary to update the SCO's approach to combating natural disasters. This spring, Kazakhstan fully experienced the negative effects of climate change.
The meeting of foreign ministers of Shanghai Cooperation Organization's countries is represented at full membership. Notably, instead of the disease minister, Iran will be represented at the meeting by his deputy Mehdi Safar. As for the agenda of the meeting itself, the ministers paid special attention to the SCO expansion process. For the first time, the meeting was attended by the foreign ministers of Pakistan and Belarus. Before the meeting, the participants observed a minute of silence in memory of the Iranian president and foreign ministers who died in the plane crash. The council was chaired by the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Kazakhstan. Murat Nurtuleu noted that the SCO has become a respected platform over the years of its existence.
The fundamental principles of a Shanghai spirit, good neighborliness, friendship and mutual support have become the hallmark of our organization. Kazakhstan, for its part, has continuously worked to fully realize the potential of a SCO.
At the meeting, the ministers signed 22 agreements on cooperation in the political, diplomatic, trade, economic, cultural and humanitarian spheres. The SCO Secretary-General Jan Min remarked that Kazakhstan's chairmanship in the alliance has been informative and engaging.
上海合作组织成员国元首
Since July 2023, within the framework of Kazakhstan's chairmanship in the SCO, over 180 events have been organized across various sectors. Kazakh partners during this mission placed special emphasis on economic, investment, transportation and cultural humanitarian issues.
Iran to continue its strategy within SCO and BRICS Plus despite the recent death of President and Foreign Minister. This was stated in an exclusive interview with New Time by Iran's Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs for Economic Diplomacy, Mehdi Safari. According to Mr. Safari, the current leadership of the country will continue the course they have taken. Additionally, Iran openly advocates for expanding not only political but also trade relations, leveraging its favorable geopolitical position.
I believe that our relation with Kazakh is a strategic relation. Especially we were trying to enhance bilateral economic affairs and also the transit. We were working with Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Iran and other far countries for transit of the goods through the railroad to Iran and also to European side, to the Persian Gulf area and to the Oman Ocean. And you know, recently also we have signed a good contract and agreement with India in Chabahar, and this is a good point for increasing the transit to the Indian, to the Central Asia and vice versa.
One of the key issues of the agenda was the discussion of the preparation and content of the upcoming SCO summit, which will be held on July 3rd and 4th in Astana. In total, the agenda for the Astana summit comprises over 20 documents spanning economic security and environmental protection. Балжан Самигульна, Кожабек Аханов, Нурали Худайберген, New Time.
Bilateral trade between Kazakhstan and Turkey may soon reach $10 billion, said President Tokayev during a meeting with the Speaker of the Grand National Assembly of Turkey, Numan Kurtulmuş. The meeting took place this week at Akorda. The parties also exchanged views on deepening cooperation among the member countries of the Organization of Turkic States, as well as collaboration within other international organizations. In turn, Numan Kurtulmuş noted the opportunities for expanding interaction between the countries in trade, industry, energy and agriculture. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev also expressed confidence that Turkish athletes will actively participate in the 5th World Nomad Games, which will be held in Astana in September this year.
Our meeting is taking place on the eve of a 30th anniversary of agreement on friendship and cooperation and has symbolic significance. Recently, my colleague Recep Tayyip Erdogan and I had a telephone conversation. We maintain constant contact. The dialogue between our countries is developing very fruitfully. Turkey is among the top 5 largest trading partners and the top 10 major investors in Kazakhstan.
Turkic integration is reaching a new level of development in areas from the economy to culture, said the Speaker of the Grand National Assembly of Turkey, Numan Kurtulmuş, in an exclusive interview to the Silkway TV channel. He also noted that strengthening relations between Kazakhstan and Turkey will benefit both countries. Today, Turkey is undergoing significant economic and political reforms. Why did the government decide to amend the constitution? How is the country coping with high inflation? And how does Turkey see the future of the Turkic world? Please watch the fragment of the interview right now.
Türkiye'de ülkenin ulusal hedeflerine ulaşmasını sağlamak amacıyla
Could you please tell us why was the decision made to amend the constitution and what important changes will be made?
ve hangi önemli noktalar değişecek?
Şimdi tabii öncelikle şunu söyleyeyim. Türkiye'deki şu andaki mevcut anayasa
Let me start by saying this. Turkey's current constitution has been amended many times. Some elements have been changed, but it's still a product of military coups. After the 1960 coup, the 1961 constitution was created, and it lasted a long time. Following the 80s coup, the 1982 constitution continued the ideas of the previous one. In other words, it carries the burdens of being shaped by coups, rather than the people's will. Now Turkey needs a new civic, democratic and inclusive constitution. The Grand National Assembly of Turkey, representing 95% of the population, with 15 political parties, will create it. This assembly is the cradle of our democracy.
What measures are being taken to overcome the economic crisis in Turkey and reduce inflation? And what role does the Grand National Assembly play in this?
tabii 2023 seçimleriyle birlikte Türkiye ekonomisinde
With the new government, especially after 2023 elections, Turkey has started a recovery process for its economy. New and urgent measures have been implemented to address the economic situation. The most important goals are to stop the rising cost of living and to reduce inflation. We're working hard to bring inflation back down to single digits. Early results are promising. The currency has stabilized, and there are significant capital inflows into the Istanbul Stock Exchange. These are positive signs. The government is taking necessary precautions and actions to achieve this. If new laws are needed, the Grand National Assembly of Turkey will fulfill its duties. The most important thing to remember is that Turkey has significant production potential in all sectors. Measures that enhance this production capacity and increase the people's purchasing power must be implemented without compromise. The government, elected by the people last year, along with our esteemed president, has outlined its new measures within the framework of the medium-term program.
üretim gücünü azaltmadan
Türk Devletleri Teşkilatı.
The relationships between the countries of a Turkic world are flourishing today. In your opinion, what is the potential of a Turkic world on the global stage?
çok büyük bir potansiyele sahip. Şimdi dünya
The world is entering a new era, and the old rules no longer apply. After the Soviet Union's dissolution, there was talk of a unipolar world led by the United States, then a bipolar world. Now we're evolving towards a multipolar global architecture, with multiple countries and power centers developing new strategies. The Turkic world has adopted a multi-vector foreign policy, prioritizing national interests while engaging with China, Russia, the European Union, the United States and others. This approach opens up new opportunities for Turkic countries, with 300 million Turkic-speaking people living from Central Asia to the Balkans. Uniting efforts and capabilities is crucial. Pursuing common interests will allow our states to develop and enhance their potential. The unity and development of the Turkic world do not threaten world peace. Instead, they enable it. A new understanding is emerging across the Turkic world, recognizing the need to unite and combine resources. I believe that this will unlock significant potential and achieve great results.
Ki doğrusunu yapıyor.
Evet, Türk dünyası dedik şimdi.
How do you assess the current friendship and cooperation between Kazakhstan and Turkey? What can be done to continue strengthening them?
Şimdi yani önce şunu söyleyeyim bugün
Let me start by saying this. President Tokayev, my colleague Yerlan Koshanov, the chairman of the Senate of Kazakhstan, and the delegation I met today welcomed us very warmly. During the interdelegation meetings with representatives from all three branches of power, the issues between Turkey and Kazakhstan were discussed in a very cordial manner. We recognize the great potential we have. Turkey and Kazakhstan are two brotherly countries. We have developed fraternal relations beyond friendship, elevating them to high-level strategic relations. Significant momentum has been achieved under the leadership of our esteemed President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and His Excellency Mr. Tokayev. To achieve results in international relations, particularly in bilateral relations, both sides need to have the capability and the intention. Turkey and Kazakhstan possess both the capabilities and the genuine intention to develop the relationship. If one side is willing but the other is not, nothing can be accomplished. There is cooperation in all areas such as trade, agriculture, technology, national defense industry, education, language and culture. Currently, our bilateral trade volume is approximately $10 billion, and this can be increased even further. Through joint projects, a much stronger future can be built. I believe that the convergence between Turkey and Kazakhstan benefits both countries and the Turkic world as a whole. We are leaving Kazakhstan after very productive meetings and setting great goals. The first inaugural meeting of the Board of Governors of the Turkic Investment Fund member countries was held in Istanbul. Nurlan Baybazarov, the Minister of National Economy, became Kazakhstan's representative in the Council. The Turkic Investment Fund is the first joint financial institution for economic integration of the Turkic world countries. Its initial capital will be $500 million. The fund will focus on supporting joint projects in sectors such as infrastructure, renewable energy, agriculture, tourism, IT and others. Cooperation under the fund will allow Kazakhstan to receive funding, grants and technical assistance to launch socially important projects, said Minister Baybazarov. The founding countries are Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan and Turkey. This week, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev also received Wang Yi, member of the State Council and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of China. During the meeting, the head of state emphasized the exceptionally important role of Chinese diplomacy in world politics. He called China a recognized leader in many areas, including the production and export of goods, technological innovation and investment. The president also highly appreciated Kazakhstan-China relations within the framework of international organizations. Minister Wang Yi expressed gratitude for the hospitality and conveyed best wishes on behalf of Chinese President Xi Jinping. The parties also discussed prospects for further strengthening bilateral cooperation.
Kazakhstan has been and remains a reliable partner of China. We are doing everything possible to implement the agreements that have been reached. Indeed, our relations and cooperation are forward-looking towards the future.
This week, President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev visited the embassy of the Islamic Republic of Iran in Astana and expressed condolences to the Iranian people regarding the death of President Ebrahim Raisi and members of their government delegation. The head of state left a note in the book of condolences and emphasized Raisi's contribution to strengthening the relations between the two countries. On behalf of Kazakhstan, the Speaker of the Majlis, Yerlan Koshanov, attended the funeral of the Iranian president.
Just at the meeting of foreign ministers of the Shanghai Organization of Cooperation, I was saying that his contribution to safeguarding peace and security around the world was very much vivid and very much seen. And we appreciate his efforts in facilitating mutual cooperation between both Kazakhstan and Iran.
The helicopter of the President of Iran and a number of other high-ranking officials crashed in the mountains on the evening of May 19, when the Iranian delegation was returning from negotiations in Azerbaijan. None of those on board survived the crash. Investigation of the catastrophe continues. Among the versions are poor weather conditions and technical malfunction. The powers of Raisi have been transferred to the first vice president. The election of the new president of Iran will take place on June 28. This week, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev received the annual reports of the National Bank of Kazakhstan. The head of state was informed about the reduction of inflation by more than half to 9.8% by the end of 2023. In addition, President Tokayev was presented with the information on the progress of the Digital Tenge project and the digitalization initiatives. Digital Tenge, the third form of the national currency, will be fully operational in its third and final phase in 2025. Overall, the president noted that despite inflation and geopolitical instability, 2023 can be considered positive for Kazakhstan. Head of state instructed the National Bank and the government to continue working cohesively to ensure financial stability of the country. The International Society Kazakh Tili has raised over $1 million to promote the Kazakh language, said President of the Society Rauan Kenjihanoglu in an exclusive interview to the New Time reporter Baljan Samigulina. According to Mr. Kenjihanoglu, the funds, including contributions from President Tokayev, will be used to localize Kazakh language content. He also emphasized the importance of having Kazakh versions on major media platforms such as ChatGPT, Wikipedia, Google Translate and Netflix. For further details on projects aimed at promoting the Kazakh language in the era of globalization, please watch the fragment of the interview right now.
Рауан, спасибо за ваше время. Известно, что в Казахстане сейчас в нашей стране...
Rauan, thank you for your time. Significant measures are currently being taken in our country to support the Kazakh language. It's known that your foundation is actively involved in these efforts. What projects have already been implemented up to this point?
We have over 130 branches across all our regions, including organizations of major enterprises. This indicates that there is a significant interest in the language and a desire to support it. We always emphasize that language and independence are interconnected phenomena and values. And here, we are immensely grateful to the head of state, who has become the first defender, the parent of the language. We are very honored and pleased that the head of state has truly become a person who first supported our initiative on endowing Kazakh and made the first contribution from personal funds to support the foundation. Thanks to this, we immediately saw a significant surge of interest among both entrepreneurs and ordinary people. In a relatively short period of time, we were able to raise over 500 million tenge, which are already being put to work and helping us implement various projects.
Such as, for example?
When we discussed this with the president, we proposed it and it was approved and supported. Firstly, we need to focus on developing content. The language is vibrant, engaging and modern, primarily because of the content available in this language.
As far as we know, you were previously involved in the introduction of Kazakh language into Google Translate. Now we see that it's functioning successfully. What about, for example, working on Kazakh version of ChatGPT or in general with artificial intelligence? Are there any specific projects planned?
It is very important for us to have the internet filled with Kazakh personal content in general, and especially with parallel content in other languages. For instance, GPT, knowing the English language, its structure and algorithms. If we can link parallel Kazakh text to it, it will be much easier for such algorithms to learn the Kazakh language. And Google Translate was developed by us at the time because it was precursors to the solutions available today. And partly thanks to that and before that, we were also involved in elevating the Kazakh Wikipedia. This content helped at the time when the first version of ChatGPT was introduced, so that these systems could at least begin speaking Kazakh, albeit in primitive manner. They speak, but there are indeed many errors. Now it is very important for us to enrich such systems with a large volume of Kazakh content. It is very important for us to localize global content so that the Kazakh version of various films or books is available on major media platforms. Netflix, for example, is becoming a global linguistic platform that allows users to select content in any of the available languages. Therefore, we need to broaden our horizons. And there will be more and more platforms like this. We were strongly criticized in the past when we created the Kazakh version of Wikipedia. It's a global encyclopedia with its headquarters based in the USA. However, it's one of the top 10 resources on the internet, accessed by billions of people. Of course, we should be present there, and naturally, a Kazakh version of such resource should be available.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That's it for today. All the main news about Kazakhstan and Central Asia you can find here. More special projects about our country you can also watch on Silkway TV channel. So stay tuned and see you next week.